How you doing, guys? Hyperwave Gaming again. This is Sin City Quinn, and we're back with Red Dead Redemption 2 before we play, just to kind of give some of our thoughts about the run-up and the anticipation of probably the biggest game released this year.
You really think the biggest for the year?
This is the most excited I've been for a game.
Yeah, I mean, usually I feel like at the end of the year is when we get kind of the big games that really like surprise us. A couple years ago, I think that was like Super Mario Odyssey, at least
Yeah.
for like the Nintendo people. But yeah, this one definitely seems to be kind of something that's coming out that's going to hopefully change a lot of the kind of games in this area and in this field. I never played Red Dead, as we were talking about earlier. I played the first game on the PS2, Red Dead Revolver, I think it is. But they always were very interesting games, and like I love the Western aesthetic, and this one definitely seems like it's big. I think you were telling me something that the number of lines of dialogue is just
500,000.
ridiculous. Yeah,
And Fallout had like 100,000.
yeah, which is crazy because even Fallout itself seemed like even for me it seemed like a way too big game, but
Yeah.
now like with this it seems like it's even more massive.
The
And
attention to detail is going to be incredible.
yeah, and like we were talking a little earlier or yesterday where we were kind of comparing this to maybe like GTA 5 where
Yeah.
they might like hopefully they take the good parts of GTA 5 and not always like the bad parts.
Yeah.
But if they kind of take bits and pieces of it from what it seems like, even the heist like you were talking about, I mean, that's really cool. That's something that's definitely worth it to kind of steal from their own franchise.
And what it seems like to me, like my first impressions of it, is they're going back to San Andreas with a lot of stuff they're doing. And San Andreas is my favorite GTA game. I played that game so many times as a kid, just over and over and over again. And I love the fact how they're going back to you gotta eat and you can gain weight, and if you don't bathe, people are gonna say you stink and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. That was my favorite aspect of San Andreas, and that was one thing that I really missed in Grand Theft Auto. I felt like it wasn't enough to do in Grand Theft Auto. It didn't feel like San Andreas. I felt like it kind of went backwards a little bit.
Yeah, and I felt the same way with GTA 5. I played the single player actually twice. The first time when it came out on the regular, like the old Xbox 360 and PS3 version of it, and then I played it again when it came out remastered. And you're right, like it felt really short and it felt very condensed and
Yeah.
very like just by itself and not a whole lot of interaction with even the worlds around it. And we were talking yesterday as well about how the map seems so incredibly small
Yeah.
in GTA 5, even though I think it was probably, I would assume, one of the biggest maps maybe.
That's what they said.
Yeah, which, I mean, I don't know how they're doing that. Maybe they're kind of like the underwater stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Maybe like, cause I don't know how that was the.
Yeah, and it never felt like it either. Even when you were doing the missions, it never felt like you were in a very large world.
It didn't.
And that's what it definitely seems different with Red Dead 2. It seems like they actually built a very, very large world, and they built all the little mechanics in there from like Fallout 4. Like, I think that's when you were talking about the lines of dialogue. What interests me was like GTA 5, I would assume has a lot of lines of dialogue, but isn't something you do. Like,
Yeah.
you probably don't come across it other than like when you're walking by someone like,
Yeah, fuck you.
yeah, something stupid like that. But like, if they have that many lines of dialogue, and it's almost like it's dwarfing what Fallout did.
Yeah, because you got now you have the option to actually talk to them and respond
Yeah.
in certain ways.
And
negative ways.
just the idea of them adding that in there kind of makes it a completely different game. It
Yeah.
almost seems like.
Definitely more RPG.
Yeah, which is great. And that's sort of what I'm holding out hope for, is that if it is more RPG, if we do get a different game than what Rockstar's done in the past, maybe we won't get like this huge push for online that makes the game last for, a super long time. Like, there's nothing wrong with GTA 5 having lasted as long as it has, but I feel like Rockstar kind of put all of its money into GTA 5 online and then kind of like slowed down
Yeah.
a bit on everything else.
They did, yeah.
And apparently that isn't the case across the whole studio, because obviously Red Dead 2 is coming out. But I believe that was put on a different studio, because Rockstar has those two studios always. So it'll be kind of interesting if they do keep the RPG elements, and like obviously I like we were talking earlier, I might pick up Red Dead 2 if I get the chance, but I'm kind of more excited about if Red Dead 2 comes out as like a really great success and like the RPG elements are something that the whole community really, really loves. Hopefully this then gets copied over to GTA 6 or whatever the next GTA
Yeah.
title will be.
Yeah, I think
and
it
we
will.
get like stuff like that in GTA, because I love this, and like the whole aesthetic of the Western thing's really cool. But like at the end of the day, I'm still a huge GTA fan,
Yeah.
And their push for online kind of pushed me away from the series as a whole. But if they add stuff like what they're adding in Red Dead into GTA 5 and like improve on it too, that'd be amazing. I think that's what's the great point of Red Dead 2 being so different, is that it maybe gives them a clean slate,
Yeah.
and allows them to do different things for different games.
That's what they did with The Last of Us, and they made The Last of Us, and it became like a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you've seen a lot of The Last of Us in Uncharted 4.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, especially with like studios who do stuff like one game right after another, like almost all of them do. You see them kind of building and learning off of themselves, and that's what is most exciting for me personally. Like, I may never play Red Dead 2 and sit down and play it for like hours on end, but I probably will for the next GTA, and that's what's so exciting about Red Dead, is just like the hope that like it does give Rockstar a different kind of thing to go off of, and a different thing to learn and to explore.
Yeah.
The Western setting's awesome, and some of the stuff you're talking about, like even the heists seem like really amazing. Like the heists in GTA never seemed that great, but the idea that there's heists in Red Dead where you're kind of like, you're talking about where you could like you're heisting a train or something. All that kind of stuff seems so awesome.
It does.
And it just is. I mean, Red Dead itself is such a huge cult following. I wouldn't doubt that Red Dead 2 doesn't, as long as the launch isn't like botched with some weird update that like messes it up, or like an Assassin's Creed level kind of glitches.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a great game, and you may be right. Like it very well could become like the game of the year, as long as they kind of deliver on all their stuff that they have kind of promised.
Yeah, I think undoubtedly it probably not maybe critically acclaimed biggest.
Sure, yeah.
But like I think that this game is probably going to sell by far more than any game this year, because the hype for it has been so incredible just from when they released or that they were working on it.
Yeah.
But Red Dead 2 is such an incredible game, and it's been such a long time before we've got to go back to that world in any way. Even with the little hints that it had in Grand Theft Auto 5, that got people excited. So
yeah.
And then to come out and the way that the whole entire run up to it with the videos and the launch trailers and stuff like that, everything seems like it's hitting every single place that they need to hit. And that's what has me like extremely excited about it. I will be sitting at my TV at fucking 11:59 on Thursday night, ready to fucking play all night. I'm probably not coming to work the next morning. All weekend.
Yeah, and that's what's great about games like this, where the community gets so excited about them that they just like wait and they'll play it, and they'll play all through the weekend. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. And that's definitely something that Rockstar has really been able to capitalize on. Some of the other studios maybe not, but I mean, have they talked about the story length, like how long the single player is going to be at all? Have they released any of that kind of stuff?
I haven't heard anything about it, but I know like with the download size, I heard the other day that it might come on 2 discs because it's so big.
Really?
It's like 130, 120 gigabytes, some crazy monstrosity like that. But
that'd be interesting. Huh.
With the story length, I know that it won't be as short as Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. And
so I'm fine with that, especially with GTA. I mean, you're not gonna have 500,000 lines of dialogue and have a short story. So
right.
I'm just kind of waiting just to be able to get into the world, and especially if it has replay value.
Yeah, or even like those side missions that most of the open world games have. If they have like really interesting side missions and stuff, like that would make you want to come back and keep playing it.
Yeah,
Man,
exactly.
you were telling me something yesterday where if you help someone when they're sick or something, like future in the game, you'll be able to get like better benefits from having helped them. Yeah. Like even little things like that seem like really groundbreaking. I can't think of another game that's done anything like that. And if that's pulled off really well, it's going to be awesome for Rockstar, and it's going to be awesome for hopefully the gaming industry as a whole.
Yeah.
Because so many games are kind of doing an open world thing. Even like Spider-Man, one of my favorite games probably of the year, is doing that whole open world. But the side missions in Spider-Man in particular seemed really, really off and kind of slow.
Mm-hmm. They did.
So it just seemed like it wasn't really worth it to kind of keep going back and forth in it. So yeah, I mean, if the side missions are really in depth, it'll kind of make you want to come back into it. And that's definitely what Spider-Man was lacking. Even like now as I'm trying to complete the whole game, it isn't seen like these side missions are just like
They're just
chores.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not like super fun to keep doing these little side missions,
not.
but if they're going to do like really cool ones that like interact with the overall story, it'll be great.
I love Bethesda's Fallout or side missions. Bethesda to me has in GTA in the past had the best side missions, but that's what I'm so afraid of games now. So we were just talking about how Spider-Man could seem like they're used. We're gonna see if they actually could have put these DLC side missions into the actual game.
Right.
But at least with GTA, we don't got to worry about that too much. I know that there is something with the pre-order where you can get some side missions that everybody else won't be able to get or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
but
that's
it wasn't
just
too
exclusive.
much. Yeah. So I don't have to worry about them saying, okay, we're going to exclude the best side missions in the game and put them to the side and charge you another $25 for them. That was the one thing about Spider-Man that I was kind of like, especially we'll see. We're going to see what when this DLC comes out.
Yeah.
But I would be very interested to see if these would have made the actual game better overall.
And has Rockstar announced any DLC for the game yet?
No, they mostly just talking about online. I don't know if they're going to
yeah.
do DLC because they didn't do it with.
Yeah, I guess GTA 5 didn't get a single player DLC at all.
They kept saying it was for the longest time, but their focus just went to the online.
Well, I think also the community shifted. I think a lot of people just adopted the online as like the next extension of GTA and just kept playing it, which is great. But I feel like, especially GTA in particular, we were talking about earlier of how short the story seemed and how even the map seemed really short. It feels like Rockstar, at least for GTA 5, put all their effort into online, and that's also why it got pushed back so often. It's like they were clearly trying to get this thing just right, and it worked for them to wait that long. But I am worried that if they do that again with Red Dead 2, it'd be really like a disservice to the whole franchise as a whole of like just doing this kind of like, we have the single player, but really all of our focus is being put onto online because like that's what makes us the big money, and that's fine. But I'd rather get like kind of what Assassin's Creed does, where they do like, I think they're at an every other year release schedule now. They were at that every year schedule and they stopped. If I were to get like a new game every other year, I'd be okay with that over like this online game that like lasts forever. It seems like, in particular, like GTA 5 seemed to last forever and still going pretty strong. But yeah, I mean, hopefully they won't. It definitely seems from some of the early stuff that we're seeing they haven't. The one thing that I think you had brought up yesterday that's kind of concerning is that, and I don't think this is common for a lot of AAA games, where the embargo for reviews lifts the day before the game is released. Which seems like such an odd thing to do.
Especially for such a game that's so popular and so big. Like,
right, and it just seems like, obviously, like every gamer, I feel like is pretty kind of skeptical about what publishers are doing, especially lately with microtransactions and everything. And you had brought up too how this may be the reason why they're holding off the embargo is maybe because of microtransactions. And if that's the case, that's really, really terrible.
It is.
And it's just, I get that the microtransactions are what's keeping the studios alive, maybe to an extent, but if they're really holding off like reviews, knowing that the microtransactions are something that is going to annoy someone, especially their base, that's kind of doing their own base a disservice.
It is. It's doing them the disservice in the long run also. Because it's kind of like what NBA 2K19 is doing and has been doing for the last couple of years. They like in the beginning you could max out your character for $20. Now it takes like $99, and then you might not even be able to do it at that. It's kind of just getting greedier and greedier over time. And it was a little bit of controversy when the pre-orders were first announced with Red Dead Redemption, because they announced the tiers. You can get this one for $59.99. You can get this one for $120. But then they were putting stuff out where it didn't even include the video game, and it was like this crazy amount of money.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember reading anything about that.
So people were upset about that.
I mean, and that's valid too. I mean, we were talking yesterday too about how some of the studios a couple of years ago was including the DLC on the disc, essentially just locking off content from you playing it, hoping that you'll pay in the future for it. But yeah, I mean, especially Rockstar, seeing of how successful GTA 5 is, that's why I'm very skeptical, and probably one of the big reasons why I'm not as excited as you are, because like, in my opinion, like if Rockstar learned anything from GTA and is trying to copy like a ton of their successful parts of GTA, like business wise, it's gonna be microtransactions. It's gonna be this constant online thing, and that's what makes me worry because it's like I remember Red Dead from the PS2 era, which is a very different game, obviously, but that's what Red Dead is for me. And even like this game in particular, like it had a couple DLCs, but I know the Undead Nightmare was one of the bigger ones, but that added a ton of content. But I'm really hoping that they don't mimic GTA's bad traits essentially into this one, and hopefully they can start fresh on this and do something interesting.
And that's what makes me more pessimistic about it too, because a company that made $500 billion from the online, at that point, even from us, from a perspective where we say, I hope they don't do that again, they're definitely going to do that again. They're going to find some kind of way to monetize online. And what they're doing is they're trying to hold it off like they did Grand Theft Auto. They're holding it off for a month.
Yeah, and that's...
But I see them doing the exact same thing in a different way. Obviously, they can't come back. I don't think they will be able to repeat exactly what they did on Grand Theft Auto. They're going to have to find some other way. But the pattern is there, I believe, and that's the structure that they want to keep, because when you get $300 million, $400, $500 million, you're going to find another way to get that money back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not saying like this is something that businesses shouldn't do. Like obviously they're trying to make money to pay their employees, which maybe we can touch on later, some of the bad press they had gotten recently. And I'm okay with that. I'm just not okay with the full weight of the game being put behind something that requires you essentially to pay money, requires you to be online. That just, I don't feel like that
is where it should be at.
Like the one thing that is worrisome though is like me and you are obviously a little bit older than the generation but beneath us, but they're probably been growing up the whole time having online games being a standard, especially with something like Fortnite and Minecraft or anything like that. Well, Minecraft was pretty online. So for us, like we're used to like the single player where we get the disc, we have the game, and that's pretty much what we enjoy. But clearly the generations are shifting. Like the previous the generation behind us is an always online kind of thing, and maybe that's great, and maybe we find a happy balance between the two until we get too old that we get tired of playing video games or something. But in the meantime, like it does seem like this pain point of the generation beneath us who definitely is willing to spend money on these microtransactions just because they are used to it, maybe, or maybe they get
their parents' money.
They have their parents' money too. For us who are working and everything, it's not that easy to spend microtransactions on something very small like that.
So I feel like if you're in school and you're getting allowance or whatever like that, you can go spend that microtransaction money. But when you actually got bills to pay, you kind of be like, okay, I already spent $59.99 for the game. Now you want me to spend another $100 just so I can actually unlock the game or enjoy it when I'm playing it. And to me, I could pay for microtransactions if I wanted to, but it's like it's like why would I feed into that? Because they have already shown us that when we gave them the $20 to whatever back in the day, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, they take advantage of it. So why pay them now? If you pay them now, they're just gonna say, "Oh, well, we're just gonna keep charging them until they say they don't want to pay that." And so now it's $100. Next time it's gonna be $150.
Yeah, and I definitely think the whole $60 price tag. I think someone has done. I remember reading this was a couple years ago, so maybe it's a little bit wrong now with inflation. But like games have always costed around $60 for the most part with inflation. Even like N64 games were like $50 or something like that. So the games kind of being expensive in general is fine, but I just feel like back then the $50 was the whole game.
Exactly.
And now you're almost having to pay more and more, which is just hard. I mean, you know, like we said, Spider-Man is, like I said, one of my favorite games of the entire year, and I love it. And it has its downsides, but at least for the most part, I paid my $60. I got pretty much most of the game, other than DLC, which we'll see if was really something tacked on or not. But that was a really great game, and
and you can go home with that. Like, you don't have to go get those DLCs.
No.
You got the game. You didn't have to spend any microtransactions within it to unlock the suits. And I commend them for that, because they really could have done something like that where they said, oh, you want to get the Marvel Iron Man suit? Oh, give us $5 in real life. And they didn't do that. And I think those games get rewarded for it. Even Bethesda does something like that where they have the Creation Club. And
That's I feel like is the definite like best solution for the most part because it's kind of community driven to an extent and it's optional stuff.
And then they're not greedy with it. Yeah, especially it's optional. It's you want this extra, and it's a single player game too. So
it is, and it's a long RPG level kind of similar thing to Red Dead.
So if you go buy this gun, it's not gonna affect everybody else because you got the most powerful gun and you're one scope or without scope.
Yeah.
Hitting people from 30 feet back or whatever like that. I think that they should really be commended for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should really see that more in the gaming industry these days, but we don't.
And I think it definitely comes down to the studio and like maybe just to play devil's advocate. That bad press had come out recently of them kind of working their employees with what was it, like 100 hours per week almost.
Yeah.
Recently, I guess Rockstar came out and told all of their employees with an internal email saying that anyone can talk about their time at Rockstar, whether it be positive or negative. And we did start seeing some members of Rockstar's team come out and say, hey, it isn't this bad. We do work long hours, but blah, 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 blah. And that's great. But what's worrisome is for the people who are working the 100 hours, maybe the microtransactions are needed now for this style of a game.
Yeah.
And that's, I know it's playing devil's advocate and it's probably not the best thing for like the gaming community as a whole, but
I see what you're saying.
If these games are as big as they are, they have all the VO for all those lines of dialogue. Yeah, all that attention to detail, all of that stuff requires a ton of people and a ton of man hours.
Yeah.
And if we have gotten to the point now where games are this complex and the community still wants them to be this complex, maybe that does mean we have to start paying more because like that $60 fee,
it's not enough.
Yeah, and like I've read stories about how indie publishers struggle to get their boxes on like GameStop shelves because GameStop takes such a big portion of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, for bigger publishers, it's probably a less percentage of the sales, but still with the amount that goes into printing or they don't come with manuals, but printing the covers and getting the discs and everything like that, that kind of makes the price of that $60 probably less so for Rockstar. It's probably not even near maybe like $40 they're getting per game, 30 after they get through everything.
I thought about that a while ago too, because with all the microtransaction stuff, I was like, I wonder why they just don't raise the price of games to like $70.
I feel, and that's the thing. I was thinking that as well, and I don't think that would be a great solution because that forces everyone to kind of. Well, I guess that doesn't really make sense either. What I was thinking was like it forces everyone to get these, get a higher paying game essentially, and to play it. But the microtransactions are nice because for someone like me, I will probably only pay the $60 for Red Dead if I buy it, and I probably will put zero money into the microtransactions. I'm not sure if that makes me a bad customer essentially because I'm not paying the full amount that's needed to pay all the employees that worked on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, a $70 video game, I mean, it would have to include like all the DLC and everything like this and that. I mean, even some of the collector's editions are like $100 or $120.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously this Rockstar stuff has sparked a conversation like a lot of the gaming community of like how the working hours benefits the game versus how much they hurt the employees essentially. But it definitely seems odd because maybe other studios keep it under wraps better, but something like Bethesda and what they do and the games they produce, it seems so much more like manageable almost.
Yeah.
Obviously they only have like 3 or 4 titles going on at once. They have like Doom, which is pretty, I wouldn't consider Doom a very large game.
Yeah.
But they have Fallout obviously, and they have Skyrim as well. But they don't seem to really be doing the microtransactions or anything, which that makes me question, like, is it really needed to build these big games, or is it something that to put more money in the publisher's pocket, they include the microtransactions to maybe give them more of a cushion?
I think it's a little bit of both. With Bethesda, they do have the Creation Club.
But
it's very, very limited, and they even understand that, hey, if you're respectful with these microtransactions and people actually pay for it, it's when you start trying to get the, $90, $100, when you try to start give people an advantage to win if they pay money and stuff. They understand that at least, and I can respect that. So I have no problem going on Bethesda and paying for a microtransaction with the Creation Club. If I'm on the PlayStation. If I'm on PC, I would never do it because I could just go get it for free.
Yeah.
But with PlayStation and Xbox, I have no problem with that at all.
Yeah.
I think, but like I said, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's them wanting to line their pockets, obviously, but then I think it's them wanting to be able to put more money back into the games. Now, if I can see more stuff, like if Red Dead Redemption, the level of detail becomes industry standard, then I could probably say, okay, let's go ahead and start paying for these microtransactions.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
have no problem.
Yeah, because I mean, even if we saw the level of detail in Red Dead as being predicted by all the reviews on the early previews in something like Spider-Man, I'd be more than willing. Spider-Man's a IP that I really, really love. I love Marvel Comics, all that kind of stuff. So if I were to have to pay $70 for a Spider-Man game that is as large as Red Dead 2, I wouldn't be complaining. And maybe that this kind of sparks something in the gaming community as a whole of like building out better and larger games. And just having to pay a little bit more, but it has to be worth it. And it seems like maybe Red Dead 2 might be worth it. And Bethesda, obviously, in certain cases, the microtransactions are worth it if you're into that kind of stuff.
And this is my biggest thing too. If you are going to do microtransactions, do it in an online setting. Or if you're going to do it in the multi or a single player, then just make it, like I said, the guns or some kind of clothing or something like that. But in the single player setting, I don't want it to be like paywalls or pay to win type stuff in the single player. If you want to charge online players stuff then whatever. But one of the things that irritated me about Take-Two, which is 2K Sports and Rockstar are the same company. They're under the same parent company.
Oh, are they really? I didn't know that.
That they have the My Career in NBA 2K, and then they have what is it when you play on My Player, and you have to when you My Park or whatever like it is, and they make your player the same. So the player that you use, the player that you use in My Career, you have to use on My Court or My Player or My Park or whatever. You have to use the same one, and it's like so everybody goes on there. You can't even go onto the My Park if you don't go on there and you don't spend money because you'll get murdered because so many people are on there just going up there and they're getting their character at 85. They're doing their grind and whatever because they're kids. They don't got to go to school like that or work like that. They come home from school and they just sit on it all day. Or they're people who don't have jobs that can just do stuff like that. So even my little brother, who has enough money to do that, but he was like, I'm going to park and play with my player because I'm not buying microtransactions. And he says, I get beat every single time. I get blown out because everybody is a 99 or a 92 or something like that. I can't even play it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's definitely what you're describing is really the big reason why I never got into GTA Online is just because I knew that without paying a ton of money, it just wouldn't be a fun experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's definitely what's worrisome about microtransactions and like this big push for online games is like it does cut off a portion of your player base who doesn't want to deal with that. Like me, I'm not going to spend money on stuff just to be better at a video game.
Exactly.
I'll play the game and enjoy it and try and become better through practice of the game. But the idea that we need to pay more and more money to play is just, and that's the one thing that does start worrying me is like,
because it's a whole different generation.
It is, and that's exactly what I was going to say. Is they want that maybe, and that works well for them, and they know it does. But for us, we come from a different time when we didn't have to do that.
You had to get your player good from playing the game.
Yeah,
you couldn't go in there and just buy it and get, I don't want to do that. Like I want to play I bought the game to play it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to just get up to 99 and then go on the park. I don't want to play on the park. I want to play the story mode. I want to play the season or something like that. So I want to progress. But then when they make it almost impossible for you to get better, unless you open up your wallet, it's like okay, I can't spend. I'm an adult.
Yeah,
I have bills to pay. I can't spend 70 hours a week or 80 hours a week on a single video game. I can't do it.
Yeah, and that's definitely the one thing that's worrisome with Rockstar is like if they do that, like it's just gonna be. I think it's gonna hurt the older generation who are playing the video game, and it's gonna probably benefit the younger ones.
Yeah,
and maybe they're hedging their bets. Maybe they know that the younger people have more spendable income via their parents or via whatever, and they know like the older ones will buy the standard game. They get their $60 from the game, less so.
That's it.
And then they'll be like, we know we can capitalize on the younger generation who wants to buy these microtransactions, who are used to it. And maybe that is good for them, and maybe that's good. I'm just happy that not every publisher yet, at least, is trying to do that. Yeah, and obviously we're putting a lot on like what ifs with Rockstar. Maybe Rockstar comes out and maybe they don't have microtransactions. I doubt that's going to be a thing. But maybe they will be done really well. You know what I mean? And maybe they will kind of copy and play something off of Bethesda and do it similar to that. And
that's why I think that's why, because Take-Two is the same thing in 2K Sports, that's all under the same umbrella. I think that's why that worry and that fear is there because they're all under the same brand.
Yeah.
And we've seen how they've done it with NBA, and I
Right.
think that we're just kind of hesitant because WWE, even under the same thing, they have it's pretty decent the way that they do their microtransactions. You can buy some extra wrestlers if you want to. You can buy like the NXT thing, or you can buy
Right.
the whatever. But you can also go onto the WWE's creation suite, and people will go on there and make it for you. So you can go buy, download a Hulk Hogan or something like that. So they always have that option. If you want the guy to come out with the exact theme music and all of this stuff, then you can go in there and you can spend an extra $10 or whatever. But I'm in a race.
And like we're saying, the game comes out, I believe, Tuesday or something, and it's going to be an interesting thing to see. Obviously, we'll probably have to wait a little bit for the microtransactions to really kick in. They might have, if they have some in the single player, that'd be very worrisome. But if they are waiting to do them in online, kind of hold our judgment, I guess, until then.
I can't see any other reason why they would do that though, because maybe they don't want the story being.
Yeah, that's what
spoiled.
That's what I was kind of talking about. But usually reviewers are pretty good with separating the spoilers from the review of the game from a technical level.
Oh my god!
Wow, you got up there really nice.
I don't know what he's doing. It's so weird playing it with this old. Because I keep pressing L3 to run because that's what you do in like games now, and he keeps kneeling and
but yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and the reviews will definitely give us a better idea of what they're doing. The one thing I did like about still Bethesda being probably one of the better studios is like they let the reviewers kind of play Fallout 76 before even the beta.
Yeah,
they gave us more of an idea.
3 hours of gameplay. And,
right. Stuff like that I feel like builds up goodwill for you in the gaming community as a whole.
It does.
And kind of gets people more on your side that you're not trying to hide something. And even if you are, like, if the real reason is like, hey, we don't want the story to be spoiled. We think this story is an amazing story. We have all these characters that we built out. We spent all this time. We are going to hold off. Just say that.
Yeah.
Like, the community as a whole will be like, okay, fine. That's a little unique, but whatever.
Yeah.
And it won't cause people like us to kind of question, like, why are you doing this? Is this for shady reasons, or is this because you're trying to protect the story?
Exactly.
So I definitely feel like that's something that Rockstar should maybe learn in their next few games. We don't see many games from Rockstar in general, so it might be 5 or 6 years until we see another one.
Yeah, I'm also wondering what they're going to do next after Red Dead. I don't know if it's going to be GTA 6 or... Because I'm sure whatever they're doing is already under like
yeah, they always have that like shifting schedule essentially,
pre-development,
right? And it probably will be something GTA. I feel like GTA Online has to be seeing the last few days of its life at this point.
Yeah,
it just has been going on.
Well,
way
actually,
too
no.
long.
They said they're going to keep. They're going to keep going with GTA Online even after Red Dead comes out.
Really?
I'm sure they said what they're going to do is they're going to try to switch back and forth. So 1 month or something like that, Red Dead will have something online, and then the next big thing will go to GTA, and then
it'll be interesting to see how they kind of manage that. They probably have analytics on their customer base more than we do of if their customer base, if there's a lot of overlap. I feel like if there was a ton of overlap, that wouldn't really work that well. But if there isn't, maybe that will, and maybe we'll see the studio coming out with cool stuff that's worthwhile. But yeah, it will be interesting. We have only a couple more days until Red Dead 2 comes out. I feel like this was our at least our initial thoughts on it.
I can't wait to make the after video because that means I'll actually be playing the game.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to see some of the footage because a lot of these newer games look really beautiful.
Yeah, they did. It looks incredible. The graphics are
So that was our initial thoughts before we play Red Dead 2.